those of you who don't know, I'm joined today by Leanne Calderwood. Leanne works with hotel, destination sales teams around the world, and she helps them build real visibility and credibility on LinkedIn. And she works especially in the meeting and event space. She's best known for helping sales teams show up more confidently online and turn personal presence into stronger relationships with planners, agencies, and partners. So Leanne, you work on both sides, the planner side, the hotel destination sales teams. From your perspective, what has fundamentally changed in how buyers decide who they engage with today?
Well, it's interesting that you ask this question during this interesting time in our lives, Ashley, because AI has changed the way that we fundamentally interact with one another, especially planners and hotels and destinations. And what AI has actually done is flip the script on how we want to communicate and connect with one another. So that person-to-person interaction, that one-on-one interaction, I think AI has done us a favor. We're actually moving back towards doing more of that versus doing the online RFP sending and everything. There's a place for sending RFPs online, but having a connection with the person on the other end of the RFP, I think people are craving that connection. And of course, when we do connect with the other person on the other end of that RFP, we're able to move the business along a little bit faster and a little bit further when we have a trusted relationship with that human versus someone at another property or another destination where that relationship has yet to be built.
That opens up so many more questions for me that don't really align with my questions, but I'm going to go for it. We can maybe come back. But from the point of view of a director of sales or commercial leader, why should the personal visibility of their sales team matter to the business at all?
Yeah, I think the DOS needs to be very mindful that they also need to be visible and they also need to be personable to the end user. Often we see the DOS having to get involved in interactions with the client now. I'm seeing that at least more and more as of late. And I think it's because team members are changing. We're seeing a lot of flux, at least in Canada, we're seeing a lot of flux or change of hotel sales team, a lot of new people going out the door. And so the DOS also needs to be mindful of, they need to start creating relationships with the end users as well. But having those hotel sales members create relationships and that one-on-one connection, that's where planners who are faced with two identical options for their program, they're going to choose the one that they have the relationship with the best. And in a market where everything does look the same, the one differentiator could be that person, that hotel sales member who took the time to get to know us a little bit better. And that's the person we want to work with when all the other apples to apples are equal.
And in your mind, and this is off the cuff, can the relationship literally be comments on LinkedIn back and forth? Is that enough? Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, it can. Absolutely. I think there's a range of different types of comments we see on LinkedIn. So when you elevate your comment just a little bit to actually add value versus adding, what do you call it? Adding just a like or great post, etc. But when you add your thought leadership, you're giving people a glimpse into your life, your professional life. People are learning a little bit more about you. And when you share your thought leadership, you're actually starting to create a micro community of people who believe in the same things that you may believe. And they're sitting back and not sharing their belief. But when you do it on LinkedIn, even if it's just in a comment, you've created a connection with that person who also believes what it is that you're saying, or they want to believe what you're saying because what you said is so valuable and important. So comments is a great way to get started for any hotel sales manager on LinkedIn. But I think you and I know, Ashley, the step above that is starting to create your own content and put your voice out there on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, so when a sales team is visible and trusted online, especially on LinkedIn, do you see a difference in the quality of the RFP conversations that come in? I lost you. Like, do you see a difference in the quality of the RFP conversations?
I'll be honest, I don't think the relationship impacts the quality of the RFP. At least it hasn't for me. The RFP that I send hasn't been any better or worse over the years. But what I do see coming through are the hotel sales managers that either feel they have a connection with me or they want to build a connection and send an email that accompanies the RFP response to say, hey, Leanne, I see you, I hear you, I've read your RFP, this is what sets us apart. Those are the emails that I'm going to remember versus the ones that are just generated by the system to say, hey, you've received a response from ABC Hotel.
Yeah. Are you able to share like one real world example where a hotel or destination sales team LinkedIn presence actually did directly influence a relationship, partnership, or business?
Oh my goodness. I'll be honest, there's many examples, Ashley, and I do think it's because um, in some destinations where there's a lot of apples that look the same and a lot of hotels that fit the profile of the event, the hotel that ends up getting chosen is the one that I had a relationship with the hotel salesperson with. So in fact, I just did one not too long ago with a hotel in Ontario that my client wasn't even really considering, but it was top of mind for me because that hotel salesperson did a great job of connecting with me at industry shows, of sending follow-up emails. And now that client is working there because I brought it to the table. And I'm not sure I would have brought that hotel to the table if that sales manager hadn't done such a good job of, coming up to me at trade shows, introducing themselves, and making sure that they were known to me.
So, what if she went to another hotel? Will you follow that salesperson or will you stick with that hotel? I wonder.
Oh, absolutely. So I've done that ad nauseum because people move around all the time, as you know, Ashley. And it is relationships based on people. So in fact, I have one destination rep who just went to another destination, and I'm pretty excited because I didn't really have a solid relationship with that destination, but I know that guy and that guy really well. And so now to see him go to a destination where I'm not as familiar with that destination as others. Now I have an in. Now I have someone that I trust that I can approach. And as an introvert, I'm not going to hesitate to reach out to him. And I think that's the thing too, is especially now with social media, we as a society, we almost hesitate to reach out to people to actually have a human conversation where it's on the phone or it's in person. We've almost lost the ability to do that over the last 25 years. And especially introverts, starting those conversations can be very difficult. But when you know someone, that conversation just starts a little bit easier. So I'm pretty excited to have a conversation with him. I'm not going to hesitate. My introvert wall has come down because I already have a relationship with him and we can start to talk business quite easily.
This is off the cuff too, but I have actually had some online relationships with people, lots of emails back and forth, but then when I see them in person, it's
So,
very strange.
Ashley, you're freezing up a bit, and I don't know if it's my camera or your camera, but you're freezing up a bit. It might be me, so just am I freezing up for you
You
at all?
did a while ago. You're fine now.
Okay. Yeah, and you're fine too. And I don't know if it could be mine, so I apologize for that.
No worries. You work closely with third-party planners, agencies, global accounts. How does thought leadership and personal visibility influence who gets invited to the early conversations or preferred relationships?
That's a great question. I'm not sure I'm the best person to ask on that, Ashley, to be honest. Because I think you're talking about maybe how does Conference Direct vet different preferred partners? Is that correct?
I think you actually already answered that because like you said, if you have a relationship with a sales agent already through LinkedIn and you met them at events, and then they're going to be invited to your conversation because you already know them instead of going to somebody new. So I think, I mean, that's kind of how I see that.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. I don't really make those decisions, but the decisions I do make are highly influenced by people who have taken the time to reach out, and whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it's at a networking event. So I think anyone who's trying to influence leaders on any level, if you connect with them on LinkedIn in advance, if you comment on their content, when it comes time to have a professional conversation, that conversation's a bit easier because they recognize your name.
Yeah, and you told me once that years ago, even, you would walk through a trade show and people knew you. Oh, Leanne, and because you put your face out there, and that was really important.
It is. It's great for introverts who have a hard time introducing themselves. Our presence kind of introduces us before we even have to because of our online visibility.
A concern I hear often about from hotel leaders is brand risk and loss of control. And how do you help organizations balance personal visibility with brand consistency and governance?
Yeah, it's a valid concern of a lot of organizations, and I used to work for an organization that had that concern. I think a lot of it comes from fear and not knowing the impact that branding can have on their bottom line. So what I like to share with people who need to have those conversations with their employers is share the data and show them how some of your clients were moved along the path to purchase quicker because of the relationship that you built with them through their brand. Or show them how you're having conversations on LinkedIn, and those conversations are with potential clients. So organizations react to data, they react to how is this thing actually working. And it is up to us as personal branders to say, hey, I'm doing this because I want to grow the organization. So instead of us fighting on it, let's work together. And are there parts of the organization's brand that I can even weave into my personal brand so that when people see me online, they also see a glimpse of our organizational's culture? But you have to have the conversation. If you don't have the conversation, there's always going to be friction. And, when it's almost like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. So when you work in an organization, having that conversation is your first step.
Yeah, it almost feels like that should have been the first question, because everything you said led up to why let the guardrails let you down. But if you were advising a director of sale or commercial strategy leader, and they could only start one small initiative, thought leadership for their team, like what would you prioritize, I guess?
I'd probably prioritize their LinkedIn profiles. I think there's a breakdown right at the profile level. And so any DOSs or team leaders need to empower their employees to level up their profiles so that if you or I, Ashley, are checking out someone's profile, we actually know what it is that they're selling and how it sets them apart from everyone else in their space. Now, you and I are talking about hotels, so it's talking about, that sales manager having something on their profile that showcases what makes their hotel so special, as opposed to everything else in that comp set. So it doesn't even have to be content. It's got to start at the profile level.
It just dawned on me that I'm focusing on hotels, and my big initiative has been trying to focus on DMOs. So I'm going to ask you that same question again, if you don't mind, with DMO instead of hotel.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Since I have a little more time. How would I say that? If you were advising a director of sales or commercial strategy for a destination, and you could only advise for one thought leadership initiative, what would that be? What would they prioritize?
Yeah, if I was a DOS at a DMO, I think the first thing I would start is to empower my team to look at their LinkedIn profile. So that's starting with their background photo, their headline, all the way through to their about sections. I think destinations have a great opportunity to tell a brand story through their LinkedIn profiles, but I'm not seeing them very well done. And so if we're able to get those team members to put those unique differentiators right there front and center in their profile, that helps when they start to jump into conversations and traffic comes back to the LinkedIn profile. People know exactly what that person is about or what their destination is about. And it's not just left for us to guess what makes this destination special, what makes this individual special, because it's right there in the top half of their LinkedIn profile.
You kind of answered this at the beginning too, you kicked off, but how do you see AI helping sales teams stay visible and credible and not overloading, the workload?
Well, I think AI takes a lot of the guesswork into what their clients might be looking for. And so using AI and crafting our prompts to kind of respond through the lens of our ideal clients, I think is one of the most powerful ways that we can leverage AI. Yes, we can make some educated guesses, but AI has so much data at hand that they can really dive into the psyche of the person that we're trying to impact and influence. And on a visibility perspective, that drives content ideas. It even drives the messaging that we should put on our LinkedIn profile. It can drive what our biography looks like. It can drive what our networking spiel should look like, so that we're hitting the things that really impact the hearts and minds of the person we're trying to get to buy from us.
I just loved how we started, that you were saying AI is kind of why we're even having this conversation, that it's bringing people back to the relationship, because nobody wants to have a relationship with AI. So.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I know you're uber busy, and this was incredibly helpful, and I really enjoy talking to you.
Well, it's my pleasure. I hope you found some value in it.